All right, folks, let's get right to it on Tuesday. What's going on? Welcome back after the weekend, getting into it. Market's pretty flat right now. NASDAQ off 9, kind of bouncing all over the place. Not much to get into in terms of like huge action today, but we will talk about some strategy and also let everybody know like tomorrow's deal, Wednesday. Yeah, we're gonna still do it. And the thing to do, hold on, I'm trying to get caught up here. Thing to do is get on over to the Discord. Oh, there you go. That's not going to work. I'm going to pop in the Discord link. If you want the invitation, okay, you got to DM me on the Discord for tomorrow's session. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. We'll probably open about 9:30. Going to do NQ live strategies, kind of the first session that I wanted to do this for a while, but now I think I've got my act organized. We'll do that. Hit the Discord, guys. And everybody else, if you own the software, you're a gold member, silver member, you guys will get the invitation, okay, on email later today. Have not sent it out yet, and everybody that has contacted me, I'm aware of who wants to go. And then anybody else that's new, a new trial. If you're a new trial, anything like that, please, you're welcome to join. Yeah, just have to reach out to me on the Discord, and I'll fire back the invite. Everyone else, listen, if you're new, if you're not with the software, stop screwing around. Get the TradingView version for Harmonic Pattern Collection by sending your TradingView username to hpc@sr-analyst.com. 14-day free trial. I'll give away one. But now's the time to get with it because we're going to do a hard shift into a lot of the NQ stuff I've been talking about. You know, I'll just show you really quick. There's going to be a specific strategy I will follow and kind of outline tomorrow. I've done it previously, but this will be like official release of this exact little 5-minute intraday kind of reactive signal we call NQ meaning a 5-minute NASDAQ NQ reaction trade. Sometimes it's continuation, but it includes the dot, and then we get that check back, and we're looking for at least a 40-point pop. I'll talk about other ways to apply that, but all of that right there is going to be as about a precise of a strategy as you'll find anywhere. And then, of course, we don't get patterns all over the place. But the other thing I'll kind of highlight, something I've been talking about quite a bit over on with my gold silver members, just the prevalence of 5-second time frames. I know this is crazy, but the best place, if you really want to follow along on patterns left and right, 5-second time frame, NASDAQ, NQ. I mean, here's a crab pattern right now, and this is going to be a part of the stuff we talk about tomorrow. But how to read pattern completion to trade execution and then management. And then what are the signals? Like right here, we've got a bullish pattern. I mean, this is moving so quickly. But look, things like this, there's confirmation, but as you're managing it, look what happens. We run into a bearish signal on the zone. So you scalp it. Not to mention, I mean, all the same kind of methods apply, but we're on a hyperactive time frame. You know, throw the 30 bar limit. That's basically 150 seconds. Excuse me, 90 seconds, a minute and a half. So if you're looking for day trade opportunities with harmonic patterns, all work the same way. Okay, take a look at this. I wouldn't trade it right off, but if you want to learn framework like type 1, type 2 confirmation, real time, that's the way to observe it. We'll talk about that. Right now, with this 5-minute setup for NQ today, you know, we've been making some progress. We're just we're squeezed in between some patterns at the moment. Check it out. NASDAQ, what happened the first week of the year? I thought we'd have a little bit of a pullback. We've gone kind of sideways grind. And certainly a lot of people who were bullish expected an explosion. That's not happening just yet. Right now, 26K, cracked that this morning. But go back for the last week. We're just kind of squeezed between this bat pattern and target levels, 36 to 810 this morning. The low was literally 810. So the 5-minute time frame's been great for intraday directional assessments, and then hyper focus on like 30-second and 5-second phenomenon. So check that out. Yeah, everything is for free. Thanks, David. Appreciate it. How you doing? Yeah, and then everybody else, listen, go over to harmonictrader.com. All right, and then the foundation material, bang, just go to Harmonic Trader. If you're not a basic member, that's the place to start. And then everybody else, again, hit over to the Discord. Check the link. I'll put that link right back in here. Harmonic Trader. There you go. Here's the link again, Discord. Get the invite for tomorrow. Okay, so, and certainly if something pops up, I still say we're going to grind higher for today. Then our next 5-minute signal right now, we're just triggering at 25, currently 44. Go back up to like 26K. Oh, the other thing I did want to show you guys. Look, we had this just before it came in. We had this. Amazing bat right down to 42. Perfect type 1. That's why I'm a little late today. I was playing this down to 42. All right, really nice type 1 30-second pattern. Do we get the return? Because if that's just reaction, T1's right there. Can we go back for the type 2? Get back to like 16? And you're currently 31. 25, 30-ish. I'll come back to that. Got to say, S&P 500, I'm going to focus mostly NASDAQ, but, the same kind of confirmation technique with what we'll look at on NQ is working. The dot phenomenon. Here's a type 2 5-minute bearish butterfly. Interesting to note, though. Okay, the pattern completed here, but the confirmation was this morning. Double dot here against that pattern. That's the best application, guys. All right, I'm going to look at how to use just the signal on its own, but certainly what we want are pattern zones with confirmation. I mean, like this one on Friday into Monday morning was perfect. It just, didn't happen at the best time. That whole thing unfolded like 3:30 Friday afternoon, and then you gap down Monday. But that's framework, and if you're not aware of, say, the whole fact that we look for a type 1 reaction and then the type 2 return is the basic framework for all patterns. Okay, not only the metrics matter, but understanding. First time you're there, type 1, go to target 1. Type 2, go to target 2. And S&P, look, we're still in a type 2. So maybe for the next couple of days, we got to work our way back to 69.69, which is target 2 down there. Not a lot exploding. I mean, listen, S&P was just cracked above 7K. It was all-time new high category. And, nothing really changes in terms of trend. Here you go. I mean, look, we're just probably on a slightly less aggressive uptrend here, but that's it. We're not going to have gangbuster activity all the time, but the progress is certainly there. So take advantage, continue every time this thing retraces. We're looking for opportunities. Uh, Quickly, want to look at the Dow. Talked about that last week, and just we're on 50K watch. That's all. People are going to really start chirping. This morning we were 49,900, but you guys know I laid it out last week that it's not even 50K. It's the upside target this year minimum is like 52.5, and we'll get through 50,000. People will make a huff about it, and then it just keep moving on. And Dow, I mean, steady as she goes. But the whole concept that I'm going to pound away all year long for everyone is that if you're going to be involved with the markets, and if you're going to be looking for opportunities, most of us just playing the long side. Why? Because we're in a monster bull market. I mean, you could take short opportunities, maybe by puts sometimes, but overall, folks, we are just in an aggressive uptrend here. That's it. And we want to continue to play that long side every time we get minimum median trend retracements, 4-hour oversold, all of that. And I've highlighted a number of stocks. Some are quite boring that are just continuing to work. And here's Walmart. All right. HSI dot on the daily. Talked about that in the last week or two. And yet another trend continuation, now 120. And when we were looking at this, 10 days ago? And just saying, hey, let's do a 1618. And we're on our way there, 121 or so. And then what if it's a larger continuation, which, look, Walmart is aggressively in price discovery, going much higher, just project out extreme expansions off the last measurable move, which is there. So bang, 1618 on the daily is like 122 on the larger one. But I think it's, go 1618, 1902. This thing immediately is more like 130. But this is going to win. This stuff's going to win. These are trends that are just had their little retracement. Now they're going to continue. And the other boring one is Caterpillar, guys. And look, we're up another $9, all-time new highs. Just continuing. The last time we were looking at this continuation signal was right here with HSI 572, 575-ish. And then this one back in November, 552. Now we're 638. Got to call that for what it is. And it's going. So, yeah, reverse head and shoulders on the Dow. No, I don't know. I don't see any head and shoulders on industrials. I just see this continuation. There's the diamonds. No head and shoulders. I mean, guys, the targets are much higher if you are in a trending market. And we want to stay with those. One or two others that are just relentless. Got to look at some of these super speculative ones like Bloom Energy. All right, I think it's a little far gone, but what's happening here of the fact you had a successful test. This is one of the big winners from last year. Came back 50% retracement, and then you got that daily oversold. So we had a whole bunch we talked about last week. Now, I mean, I would wait on that for the next opportunity if you get it. But what it tells me are things like Rocket Lab, those are Rocket Lab, Bloom Energy. Oh, it was, NNE, Nano Nuclear. Some of these other ones, maybe we should take a look at them. Nano and SMR, they're all in that group. Here's SMR down here. All right, so those speculative plays that got knocked out that have yet to do the return, we need to look at these pretty carefully over the next few days. Are they going to do a Bloom Energy and then come right back up? I mean, target one's here, $30 on SMR. The other one, yeah, qubits, quantum stocks in general, making their way. I mean, listen, yes, this is up 10x in the last 18 months, for sure, but this is an established uptrend. You know, there you go. This is our assumption going forward, bullish pattern. Are we going to see that continuation, or IONQ is probably the best of the quantum possibilities because we've back-to-back patterns. You know, bottomed out at 40 on that hard retrace. Can we at least get to, we're 49 now, target 161. But longer term trend possibilities, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we are looking for this asset to continue this larger progress within the context of that trend. It helps that we've got patterns looking left, both bullish and bearish. Couple more. You know, we got to look at stuff like Intel. This is getting interesting. Intel, 47 now, guys. I think this thing wants to take out prior resistance. We've been up here at this shark pattern, you know, going back since the fall. But sideways action. This is becoming a dud. If we blow through this another day or two, it quickly goes to 50, but we know that Intel is really more about this larger type 2 monthly shark. It's a type 2 monthly shark. Retest also the prior bearish pattern. That's like 52 minimum, but Intel to me is, I'm really glad now I didn't sell. You guys know I was buying that at 30 and I took a hard drawdown for over a year, which is, I normally don't do that. But now I'm not selling. After all of that, I'm not selling. I'll get to 63 and we'll see. But I'm thinking Intel's doing things that should not be ignored. Some of these others. Look, SOX index, SMH. Guys, this is just nuts. SMH is 390. 392 today. Where is that going? I mean, semiconductors, it just, that's going to be the place to be. Where does that go? We just continue this and go to 1,000? You know, do a 10x off the 22 low from 75 to 750, because I don't, like, this looks like gold to me. This looks like a lot of markets that before they truly went parabolic, SMH is just not stopping. I will say that there's one or two really interesting setups. I think SMCI, Super Micro, we might finally get our 2227. I'm not really worried about how weak this has been. It's been pretty weak. But here you go. Talk about describing the pattern and tell me what you see. Type 1, reaction. Type 2, 2227. We've been waiting on that for, I don't know, a year, 8 months, 9 months, and we're going to get it. And when we hit 2227, I'm going to start looking, because the only question I have is something up where SMCI is going to go out of business? I don't think so. And they're going to get a lot of negative talk. All right. But down here with this whole pattern, and not only that, it's still trending. I mean, I know this is doing like an 886 reset of the big blow off move from 24, but longer term, okay, I'm going to make that assumption. And like Intel is the reference point. Intel at 19, maybe that was the buy of the year last year. SMCI at 22? Maybe. Couple other ones. What's going on, chat? Come on in, guys. Anybody holding on to crypto? How is it all going? How are the crypto people? I mean, it's just gotten quiet all across the board. Let's look at a few other ones, and I will dive into crypto here in a minute. Tesla, kids. So Tesla's a great example of staring a bearish pattern in the face, type 2 weekly with confirmation, and saying, okay, I'm going to have to just be patient with this and let this digest the whole reversal possibility. But I do know, guys, that this has a limit to it. And because a lot of people ask me about Tesla, and I've said maybe some confusing things where long term I think Tesla goes to like 800. I don't think that's a big deal. But what do you do with this type 2 pattern here? And I would say kick it into a 30 bar window immediately, break it down, which takes us basically to the end of April. So what? Another 2 months? Maybe 10 more weeks of this pattern? And I mentioned before that I would love to see some kind of short-term oversold correction and then give me a high-level HSI, where we could get a continuation. Because I do think this type 2 it's not really working out. It needs a little bit more time, but you can kind of tell it's got dud qualities. It's not really reacting that much off of the key area. It's just kind of gone sideways. It tried. And I do think the resistance is more like 488, but where do you jump on that? And I also say this, whatever this next correction is on Tesla, okay, it's going to be the last one before Tesla just goes monster scary price discovery and again kick it out. The story on Tesla, if you really, sometimes it's just all about what time frame you're looking at. But guys, Tesla, don't forget, has already triggered the monthly crab pattern that is like this, XAB, perfect 618 there, up to a 1618 price discovery. That's like 610 minimum that on the monthly, and we've already triggered it. So keep that in the back of your mind. You're 444, 450 on the daily chart. This happened yesterday. I mean, just yesterday, and so this was the kind of the other signal for Tesla that I want to look out for. We had this bat pattern, that perfect confirmation here. And so that would be the real type 1 trade. And that was right at like 488. That was the number in the weekly. That was the prior terminal bar. But now that reaction hit an HSI last week, got oversold, check back, bang, bang yesterday. Guess what? Not only a dot, yellow dot, but now we have a diamond confirmation. That makes it a stronger area. All right. We will be talking about that tomorrow, how to interpret that, how to read it with the software. So on the daily chart, though, this kicks up or changes the situation and kicks up off of this support to where I just got to think maybe that's a reaction on Tesla. And, maybe how I should look at Tesla right now is the trigger is 441. And I mean a big trigger where if this is only going to give me a reaction, which I think that's the deal, and so we got oversold that fast. Well, yesterday's price bar is the range I want to be looking at for not just like a small long, but something that gets you back to the 475, 480 area if not higher. I'm thinking, you come back, could we retest 441 and then use that prior resistance at 488? That seems to me the setup. I mean, and this is prime. Like next day or two, this will happen. We'll check it back, and then by Thursday or even early next week, it could be gone. So I think that reaction on Tesla on the dailies right now is probably the most important time frame. And then if this weekly situation on Tesla is going to be a dud, then maybe we don't see it. Maybe this eventually just fails, which we've seen before. So it's acting strong. I think this would have broken down on the weekly if we were going to see a bigger type 2. And then final point, another strategy we'll cover, okay, is where is it on the 50 level? Because if it's not really trending under the 50 on amplified, this is our RSI component, that's really what we use for trade management, then you can't expect much. It's just not ready to go down. I agree we're under the 50 on HSI, but amplified would really need to roll down. And the daily time frame says, hey, that reaction I put in last week is probably it. You guys know I'm bullish. I mean, look, QQQ, I didn't even get into that, but, we're right back. How many times are we going to tag 628 before we fail it? And 628 is the 1618. Go all the way back here. We've talking about it since last year. Okay, go back. Let me get this. B point. 1618. Like there. Hold on. Off of here. Off of the February correction. Just a standard 1618 is there. 630, 629-ish. And I've been saying for a while that this looks like another sideways pause. That's it. And here we are. How many weeks have we been into this? It's another harmonic dud. There's really the first time we hit it, and that was back in October. So tell me what's happening in the first 3 to 5, maybe 5 to 10 weeks. Sideways consolidation, and then, if we could break out, there's your 30-bar window. Come May, time-wise, this whole zone should be taken out, no matter what. It just loses its mojo. I'm thinking, our aggressive uptrend just continues. It's not. Look, I hear people calling for a market crash and stuff, and this and that. I don't think they look at charts. It's just. It's kind of like just saying, hey, a train is going to have a train crash, but they're not even at the train station to look at when the train's coming in. I mean, this is a harmonic pause. 628 is your number. All right, and another 6-8 weeks, this thing continues and pushes higher to our larger targets, and I think it's probably helpful to remind you guys of my primary thesis. All right, and it's going back to even 2022 when we started the shows. That 2022 was the low, was the decade low, and so if that's the case, then off of that 2022 bear market, we're looking at the extreme expansions. 2618 on the monthly, that's like 660 up to 3618 expansion, which is almost 800. There's the 314740 and the 3618. This is something I laid out last January. And that recording is available, I'm pretty sure, on this channel and in basic members. And, it's available for free. I know it's on the channel. Check it out. Last January. Now, we're just kind of stair-stepping our way to there, but look at the chart. This is firmly intact. You have not even taken out a prior month low since the washout from March, which was just a shakeout. So just because we're kind of quiet right now, or we're not like gangbusters first half of the year or first week of the year, doesn't change anything to the fact that we're on extreme expansion. We're looking for higher targets, and that is, QQQ to go to 820. Maybe it happens next year. But don't be surprised if this thing does 100 and whatever. A 20% move on QQQ gets you up to the 314 by the end of the year. Right there, 314 is like 740, and that's I think we get to these higher levels, 660, 650, by March or April, and then we make a run for the 750 level. Guys, I think it could be like this summer or into the fall. But that's once we get through this 1618. That's when acceleration will continue. All right. I don't, it's for me, for these markets, I'm favoring them all because they are super strong, and it's very clear they're headed, the momentum of their direction doesn't have to be questioned. I mean, look at the stocks. Let's just, again, the stocks, what's going to win here? Stocks and semiconductors, big tech, some of these energy plays, alternative energy plays, but there's stocks monthly, guys. And this is, I think the stocks is, and I've said this is going to be the one that leads the QQQ and NASDAQ in general to get to that 800, 820 level. Well, right now we're only at a 1618 on the monthly. I'm of the opinion, we're not even there. We're almost scraping that monthly. But I'm of the opinion, look, if everything's going to come true on the semiconductor prophecy, a real prophecy, where you're going to need billions of chips to build out this future economy that they're already, they're investing trillions on, that means semiconductors do an extreme expansion on this cycle. Okay, just think of it that way. With everything that any average individual can, do a little research on and see the magnitude of dollars being invested into mostly semiconductor manufacturing, because everything is going to basically be a plastic shell around a semiconductor chip. And we're not even at a monthly 1618. We're not even at the minimum 1618 price discovery objective, which is just shy of 8,000. This is where things can accelerate. Those are going to be the big plays. This is kind of like gold at 3,000. So get that up. Be aware, those are the markets to focus on. I love Tesla. I think it's really close. The semiconductors, Nvidia, again, we're 185. I was hoping we get 165. We were 171. I think Nvidia is just, it's just pause, waiting, whatever, but not a concern at all. At all. You could fat finger long it, even if it went down 10%. Broadcom, it's the other one where got a washout post earnings, coming back 358 now. Those are, with the daily dot from yesterday. Okay, beautiful. What about, here's one or two that I'm watching closely. Lam Research is, this has gotten away from mean, it's absolutely blowing off. Incredible. It reminds me of Micron. Okay, but LRCX, get it on your radar. I know most of you probably don't know that one. Get it on the radar. That is, it's not, we're going to monitor it, and I'm waiting for a retrace, but just get it on the radar. KLAC, okay? I think a lot of you remember how much I was talking about KLAC last year with these patterns back at 630, now 1440. The other one like that, all right, and these are kind of the poster children to be following. All right, I would still be following this, although there's no opportunity on the long side just yet, but ASML was the other one. Okay, here are a couple that I'm looking at. M-Chip, Microchip, okay? This has got what I think is the beginning stages of trying to turn around off this longer term correction. M-Chip, MCIP. I'm liking that we had that secondary higher low back in November. Okay, it's up a little bit too much, but just we'll wait for it. The last jump on point was probably like 65, right back the end of December, and again, yeah, November had some sweet patterns. But that's one. That's M-Chip. The other one was, hold on. Here's my stocks list. All right, was it? I think it was ACLS or ADI. No. Probably Broadcom. No, it was Broadcom because of the dot from yesterday. Lattice Semi. Yeah, Lattice Semi is a lot like, and that's up 4 today, a lot like LRCX. But these are coming around after last year's retracement. They put in higher lows back in November. Yeah, that was it. The monthly Gartley, weekly Gartley. One or two more on those. On Semi, okay, taking its time, but this one's coming off a really nice pattern, a type 2. And you're looking for this to be more than a recovery because, look, on, ON, clearly breaking out of the downtrend. And now we'll start looking for higher levels of overbought readings. That one, and then you guys, I don't even bore you with Taiwan Semi. Taiwan Semi just, TSM. Just get it on the radar, guys. I mean, it's too far gone to just say jump. I would say fat finger long it no matter what, but I want to be a little more disciplined than that. And then was it Teradyne? No, it's already gone. Oh, I know what it wanted. It was NBIS. That was kind of related to the other asset plays of the crazy ones from last year, but NBIS nebulous here with the dot on the weekly, now 105, okay? We were 85. And not necessarily a chip play, but I just remembered that one. That was what I was trying to remember off of after Bloom Energy. There are a lot of opportunities, a lot of these that are set up, in my opinion, pretty prime position to continue. Was it Marvel? Hold on. Yeah, Marvel's another one. MRVL, where's the daily here? Looking here. Marvel, going to set up probably in another day or two, higher level dot. And again, we'll talk about that tomorrow because when we can identify, all right, there's an extreme low, first confirmation, truly delayed, but that's the first confirmation, higher level confirmation. All right, and we're getting the check back yesterday. We're going to get a third confirmation. That's where things start to stair step in a better fashion. Yeah, keep an eye on those. Those are, look, one of laser focus on the stuff that's working is sector-wise and then break it down. Continue with the winners and retracements. Start looking for recovery plays. Couple ones you guys have. What's going on? I'm kind of riffing today, but yeah, I'll get over that. I'll get to some of those. Applied Materials, great one. Look, the whole thing's going to work. The whole sector is going to work. So my premise is this. Semiconductor index will double in the next 2 to 3 years. I don't think that's a tough one. SOX goes from 7,000, 7,500 to 15K. Sounds crazy, but that's where we go. In that sector, I mean, just go with the SOX list. There's Applied Materials. All right, this is interesting because, look, deep crab pattern, 312. All right, I think Applied Materials is a big winner. But we might have to get through this. You might go sideways here. So, again, keep it on the radar. We know if it gets above 312, 315, something larger is certainly unfolding. But for now, look at it that way. Just kind of respect that resistance. I'd love to get something like, Applied Materials 315 or 310 back to like 270 and go again. There's a bunch of these. I mean, again, a lot to consider, but they have to have a winning track record. Hey, what's up, Carl? Carl wants to look at Path. That's another one in the kind of the AI center software sector. UiPath. Yep. PATH. Type 1. Bat pattern. That's a weekly chart. Your confirmation's more like 11 or 12. And the 4-hour, you're down almost 10% today. I like that. I mean, I see what you're getting at. But give me something on a 4-hour or even daily, I mean, the daily is, it is a type 1 on that deep crab. But you did have your took one shot to try to go do the return now. And it failed. And that's something with the return plays. Like if you can do this. I mean, I prefer to try to do it on futures because you can keep a tighter stop loss and you're not really fighting trend so much. But look, T1 $ reaction's over. The possibility for this to do the return move does not start until after the dot and the retest and you finally break out. So 1584 to 19, you got yourself to almost 18 and change or 18, but did not continue. I mean, at some point you're bumping stops, and it just didn't work out. And even if you were in that, I'd say scratch it, just wait for that to turn around. But it's, where's your 50 level? Yeah, see your 50 level. Especially HSI, you got to 50 and you couldn't continue and you rolled back down. I mean, yesterday, 2 days ago, you were back down on 50. That's not my preferred play, but the read of that, I would still be looking for the return, but not until this thing can kind of get its act together. What's up, Kitty Kush? Yeah, we talked about SMCI. That's a full-on return, type 2 return. But we'll keep our eyes on it. Yep. What's up, Rooster? Sure. You want to look at uranium? That's another one. I like that. BABA, BBAI. Well, I'll look at BABA here for a second. And what's up, Fano? Fano wants to look at BBAI. Look. BABA, I really thought we'd get to 125. Complete this type 1. And maybe I'm wrong on that. And I'll tell you why. BABA has always been about two patterns. This big pattern, 150-ish. Okay, that was one. That was on the weekly. The monthly is more like this. Big crab, 77. My question is, are we going to ever get a type 2? And I thought we could. I thought we could at least get down to like 150 and then we see if we could really fall apart. For now, with what's happened in the last like 24, 48 hours, I'd say we're probably going to resume it back up now and maybe go back, retest like the 180s, do a type 2. So looking for that larger downturn on the monthly, I think is premature. You know, it's at least now done some things where on the daily you could trade it off of that level. I do think BABA is another one where there's no way this thing, if the larger tech market, NASDAQ, whatever, explodes the way I think it will, this recovery pattern, should at least get us, more like target 2 maybe, as long as we maintain that uptrend. So, let's not get there just yet. We're not going to do any kind of return. I would say for now, BABA's like that. But what you were asking for was BBAI. I'm a fan. I'm a holder. Haven't changed. I think that's the monthly. Here's your weeklies like this. That thing's coiling up. I mean, that's a nice progression here. I'd stay on the daily. Okay, and just got to hold this support. We're still trending higher. Notice we had a couple big moves last year, but we are still holding gains. Okay, that's critical. Whether this went up and all the way back down, we did it again. The fact is, over time, the last 6, 12 months, we continue to make higher lows. I'm long. I'm still long. I've been holding this for a few months. Okay, actually longer than that. But BBAI is something that I do like, and I think minimum, obviously I want the explosion, but I think minimum, let's get to 9. We're now 6, and see if we can really do something. There's a few of those. Soundhound was the other one. That went up 20 all the way back down. This one's got patterns. Soundhound right at 11. Where we are right now, it's a lot like BBAI, Big Bear AI. But the trend is intact. And you've got patterns. Some counter HSI that's going to probably slow this down. Maybe it's not ready just yet. But, look here, 1050 to 11. If you're looking for a sleeper play, again, this kind of reminds me of the quantum stocks from last year. You're still undeniably on a steady uptrend. That's the difference. Couple more. Sure, what's up? Codes Mode wants to look at Hertz, the rental car company. Is that a penny play? $5 play. I'm not crazy about this because they've been bankrupt once or twice. I don't think that's really trending, even recovery wise. It's different than what we just looked at, like BBAI and Soundhound. Yeah, those are down, but those have those are on a steady uptrend. This is like barely flatlined. It's not a bad idea because look how many times big surge up all the way back down. They have found support at 350 to 5 generally. I'm looking for trending continuation plays. But if you wanted to hit this and it goes ballistic, just get ready to dump. It's not going to be sustained. I mean, pattern-wise, it should go back to like 14. But, it's a sloppy candidate, let's say. Sure. I do like hymns. What's up? Feral, Mr. Feral. I like hymns, and we've been talking about hymns at that $31, $32. And so hymns, guys, yes. Here, pounding the table on it. But what needs to happen? We have confirmation on the weekly. Okay, and we'll talk about this tomorrow. But here it is, all right? Get with the dot. Wait for it. Because there's the early confirmation. Pattern complete, T1. That's what it means. Does that mean it's a trade? No. We're waiting for it, but T1 signaled. first sign of confirmation there, but now the retest. Okay, I consider this like the final divergence phase. That's really what it is. And if you can identify areas of divergence, those are some of the most powerful inflections, because as they're trying to sell it down, the internal strength is getting stronger. You take out the prior low, the prior inflection in a nominal move, then stabilize, go green today, green tomorrow, get a dot, and then we're in business. So technically we're still a day early, but I like it in this 34, 33 area. We're still looking. Great pattern. It's maybe next week though. And I might end up having to buy it at 34 instead of 32. But this is one somebody mentioned this I think a week or two ago, and I said, yeah. On the daily, you do have some things. So, and again, always helps to do that cross reference. But even on the daily, okay, we have confirmation, which is here, retesting, but we need, even on the daily, you need one green day. So if you had FOMO on this, you would still have to wait till tomorrow. Now, here's the interesting thing. We had confirmation on the first one. Okay, you hit it, you got your dot, whatever, even had a diamond down here. But what happened? And this is something, especially for new folks, I really, it's a concept that no matter what market, what time frame, if you can understand this, all right, you're going to dramatically be able to handle harmonic pattern reactions better, where, yeah, we can identify the zones clearly and the levels, but understand this happens where T1 is a reaction no matter what. How far? Well, in this case, strong reaction got overbought pretty quickly at around 39 bucks. Our target was 47. Okay? You get an HSI arrow and then a dot. Well, you're bumping stops. Because what happens is you will get a secondary test of the terminal bar. Secondary test of XA. And all right, sometimes we get secondary confirmation, sometimes we don't. In this case, we're going to get a second shot on the type 1. But understand that, okay? I think people make too much of the singular pattern, saying, okay, and I've seen it so much where people will do harmonic patterns and, don't really even fully understand it. They'll label every pattern as like, oh, this is a home run and it's going to go to the moon. And no, it's the framework is this. Okay, type 1, go, target 1, come back for the type 2 return, we call it, and then type 2 return. This is still type 1 because we didn't hit the target. And I'd still be treating that as a reaction, but we need a dot. You need a secondary confirmation. Couple more. What does XA mean? What's going on, Brian? XA. All right, that's the level. And it's, fair question. XA level of the X is the starting point on the pattern to A. All right, that's the XA segment is our retracement measurement. And that defines that primary level off the pattern. There's other segments to it, but that's the primary pattern, primary retracement level, depending on the pattern. And then we build out, well, the software will crunch all of it automatically. That's the beauty of it, to create the zone, which then our job is to hammer in on confirmation. So it's not, most trades are not at the XA level exactly. But they are typically within like a 3 to 5 bar window where we're looking for, you pattern completes, and then, we're looking 3 to 5 bars. We'll talk about that tomorrow. If you're on the list, guys, or if you have gotten a trial, again, everyone will get that invitation by email, but it's going to be a private session. It will be recorded. Everyone else, listen, get over to harmonictrader.com. Okay, all of that basic information is available as a basic member for free. And again, I implore everyone to get the free trial. Send your trading username to hpc@sr-analyst.com. It starts there. Okay. That will be, tomorrow will be kind of the inception of the NQ stuff. You know, looking at, let's just take a peek at where's NASDAQ right now. 900. All right. We were 26. We went down to 27. 25.9. And what do we have? Oh, is that an RTH? We have an RTH signal right now. Holy smokes. You guys should have woke me up. There, right here. This is a big deal. There's the dot. Okay, the 5-minute RTH. NASDAQ, regular trading hours. Where is that? The dot was right there. Right here. Let me blow it up. Okay, we don't have a pattern here, but what I'm saying is we look for this spot, intraday, to be an inflection area for about, our assumption is a minimum 40 points. The dot completes, then you get this retest right there. The open of that bar is 74. So then you're thinking, give it 10 points, maybe sometimes 20, but really 74 to 64 is the minimum retest zone. And what did we do? The low was 65 and a quarter, and now we're 900. All right, we'll talk about that strategy tomorrow. Sometimes, yeah, these can be big continuations, but for what I'm talking about, for the scalping and super short-term NASDAQ trading, NQ stuff, 40 is great. Like if we're down here looking at our trigger at, like I said, 74 to 64, and we're thinking, hey, this should go 905, 914-ish. That's a sizable trade. But notice it's right here. And that just happened about 10 minutes ago. We'll come back to this. You guys have a few more. DGXX, what's that? DigiPower X. What is that? Sounds like a super speculating low floater. I don't know. DigiPower. All right. That gives me a little more perspective. This is kind of a turnaround recovery play. Yeah, you're off of that bat pattern, making progress, but probably just wait on the daily. If you know something about this, chirp it. Let me know. Yeah, it's a low floater spec play. I kind of like what's going on with the confirmation. Look, yellow dot arrow forms the bottom secondary low with a diamond. There's a tertiary move. I mean, you're 319. That should get you back to $4. I don't know what that is. Data processing. I'll look at that. Target. Is that moving? Yeah, we'll look at that. Target for MK Ultra. What's up, MK? Target's 108, guys. All right, so now maybe it's time. Maybe Target's ready to do the recovery move. And we were talking about this at what, 98, 101? Yeah, I'm going to have to say, and this is something we discussed last year, that Target would be a tax loss candidate. They would wash it out, say the last week of the year, and that's exactly pretty much what they've done here. Flushed it, for the last time in December. I'm going to have to say Target's probably a go. And it's going to be slow and steady, but you're looking for Target to go from like 108. Well, I like that. I mean, you're looking, this is a type 2. But this is probably, yeah, you're probably like 5 days into the new move. But man, that's got everything. Thanks. I almost forgot about that, but thanks for bringing that up because it will. That looks like the start of some things. Yeah, we had this. Remember? Pretty ugly bat pattern down here, and that was a type 2 on the bat. Let's keep eyes on that. Target, I mean, Walmart's rocking, guys, and I think Target can make a recovery move. Walmart's just going ballistic. I think Walmart's like a $200 stock, quite frankly. Yeah. What about LPS? What's that, Mr. Peters? LPS. Legend Power System. I don't know. I mean, just the fact that it's 12 cents makes me want to buy a million. You know something here? Should I be buying a million of that? How about 10,000? Just throw 10,000. I don't know what that is. So Legend Power Systems. Is that on Toronto? Is that what we're talking about here? Or LPSN? LPSN. I like that Legend Power Systems, but that's on Toronto. LPS Live Person, real spec. I mean, yeah, that did the move in August, and now look what happened, right back down. That looks like crypto. That looks like crypto. A couple more energy. Well, uranium. Let's get back to that. So uranium, guys, they're exploding. Uranium UEC. I'm liking this. Now it's back to 16. URA, the ETF. That's a good way to play it. 44 was the last, the Gartley there. So URA, man, that was perfect type 2. Type 1, hit it. 2, this thing could go. That's on the 4-hour. Dailies like that. Weeklies super strong. That was the deal. So URA looks like it wants to break out because look at the weekly high level. That's massive continuation. So the possibility for this thing to go higher off of here is, and I'm not just talking retest highs. I'm thinking, can we go from here and then be targeting a 1618? I think so. 75 from 51. Weekly. The trigger is like really 47, but this is leaving the station. The other ETF is the TAN, guys. I have been talking about this for a long time. We're just waiting for this to go to 67, 68. But this is another one that, yeah, it's technically recovery, but it's a massive pattern. I've been talking about that since 35. You guys know that. Well, this is the kind of recovery play that works for a few reasons. We broke out of the downtrend. All right. We had ideal confirmation, and we've been in this steady uptrend for over a year now. So that is, yeah. And you go back to the history here. I think if this bottom is in on TAN, which I think it is, it's not really even 68. It's, go back, retest 886 off of that and that. I mean, you're talking like I'm, targeting 100-ish. Couple more. Meta, META. META, boy. Meta was just incredible at this low here. You go back to 2022. What a gift. And so what do we do with Meta? You didn't catch the buy of the decade in 2022 at 116, and now it's 627. Well, this trend is still intact, in my opinion, and I think your next jump on point is much like where we were a year ago. Now it's probably 600-ish retest. The cool thing about Meta though is we have patterns here, and I'm looking at this shark pattern. Okay, what happened on the first one? Big reaction. Dot to dot got you from 575 up to 675, but we rolled back down. That's okay. I mean, it's just taking more time. But we're going to wait for the next oversold reading. But I think that's going to be another opportunity to get on something. I mean, this is going to just continue to trend. Great example of aggressively trending over the last 3-4 years. Now you have a monster daily oversold reading about to come your way. And are we there? Yeah, we're there on a few. Amplified is oversold right now, but you're going to need a few more days. Look for that to dunk back to 600 and just get ready to buy on that one. I mean, that's like, reminds me of Amazon. We didn't get down there on Amazon, but I'm still waiting for that next one on Amazon. I thought we'd get 214. We didn't. Went to 240. We'll get another signal. All right, line it up. Sometimes we're going to miss them, and that's why we get a number of candidates. They don't all work out, but we get a group of high probability situations like this. We'll see. We'll get another oversold. But clearly, Amazon targets are well above 300 on Amazon longer term. This trend is just going to continue. Yeah. Couple more. Yeah. Rivian, what's up, Code? Rivian's one that I said, okay, first week of January, let's pay attention to it because it's making progress longer term. It's like that weekly. We had this Gartley, okay, getting rejected. And that's fine because it helps us. It gives us actually an idea of we do have a pattern. We have a framework to go off of now. 1886, can we get a target one? I would love to see that because it will be the first opportunity against the long-term downtrend to truly get a continuation move that would be let it do its reaction and then go back for the return. You go to the long-term chart. And I've been saying this. I said this when it was starting to break last year. I said, give this time. Let it come back down, retest the back end, and then go. If you're hoping for some larger recovery, you go back to its price history like that. Understand it will take time, but I do like the fact that you've spent a good year, 18 months, putting in this base, higher lows, you broke out, and I think this is going to coil up and give you another shot. So Rivian, 17-ish, 1710, 1750 will be the next jump on point, but I think it would be rather significant. And yeah, and we had some patterns last year. But even down here, for the hope of a larger move, that would take a whole lot of time. Couple more. Boeing off to the races. Haven't looked at. Where are we there? 245. Wow. Yeah, I'd say so. Is that all time? No, I didn't think so. That was I think it was Lockheed Martin. There's Boeing. I'd be watching it. Certainly, you do this breakout 275, 280. Yeah, then you are. I do like that. Even with that massive correction, you've spent enough time down here. Okay, putting in higher levels of confirmation. Sure. And you're still on that uptrend. People are talking, with everything. I think the big news was that Trump talking about going to 5% GDP on defense stocks. And look at Lockheed Martin here. Lockheed Martin got oversold down there. It was at 450. Now we're 550. Folks, Lockheed Martin and a couple of these other defense makers, just you can't fight it. There's no reason to fight that trend. Yeah, I know some people don't like to invest in defense stocks, but I like to make money and I like to go with winners. And this is a winner. A couple big weeks to start the year. Get it on the radar. Even this far gone, a little back-to-back pattern. Um, we want to be on these because I do think what you're going to see is a whole lot of news that's going to be super bullish for defense stocks. This one and what's the other one? Was it Raytheon? No, what is it? LLL. Where'd he go? That's not it. Where is the LLL? Hold on. I'll come back to that. But Lockheed Martin, yeah, Boeing, yeah, I think we can look at these. They're definitely just gonna continue this uptrend. If anything, they're probably in a new phase, recovery phase. I haven't even looked at crypto. Come on, let's get to it. Let me jump. Great picks. Let's jump back to those on Thursday. But I do want to take a peek at Bitcoin. I know it's been uneventful. I know it's been disappointing for a lot of folks. And what can I say? Other than the read, other than the fact that we're still in the 4-hour channel or 4-hour harmonic zone and been capped by this harmonic zone. Back to back patterns, guys. This is again, whether it's moving or not, I just, especially with Bitcoin being so harmonic, I just don't, you have to have it. I mean, we talked about the type 1 2 weeks ago to go to target 1. And last week we talked about target 1 and I said, all right, we go back to 93, 500-ish, maybe 95. So now we're at the type 2 after almost ping-ponging, and up against some resistance. So just start watching for this. Maybe we get to 95, but it is a type 2 up here off of that shark. And I'm going to watch it. I mean, we're getting close. We're not there yet where HSI is overbought, so maybe another 1,000 higher. I don't think that's going to be a problem. It is after what happens. This might be all week. Okay, but we are overbought on some weekly signals that are going to be really interesting to see how they play out. And especially, we've got a diamond confirmation that formed late last week. Whole bunch of counter signals. And that makes this zone and this minor little bounce, I think, more significant than a lot of little reactive bounces I've seen in a long time. I think we could come back. We'll scrape 95, but look, we still have this pattern to retest. That's still a viable option. We are, really getting into the bottom stages of this. If this breaks, it's going to be a nasty wedge. It's going to be just a nasty bear flag. And so we break to the downside on this. It's not going to take a lot of time to realize that that is a larger break. Amazingly, we entered this general area all the way back second week in November. So 8 weeks in that tight range. Which way is it going to break? I think it's kind of like that scenario to get back and then deal with some levels down here, 77-ish. So, been the read the whole time. We've been talking about a couple possibilities, 93, 83, and 77. And here we are, 2 months. Not much to report on. You go to Ethereum. all right, it's ballpark 31, 3,200. That's okay. You've got some patterns there, some counter resistance, but not a hell of a lot of progress. And I still say that there's some lower things. Even if I was ramped on Ethereum, I would want a dot. I would want something like there or there or there. And to do that, we need to retest 2,700. So I want to remain constructive on crypto, guys. I just need to see some stuff. What's up, Kitty Kush? Am I bear or a bull on Bitcoin? I've been a bear looking for something more than a nominal retrace since I would say mid-October. And I've been focusing on, as I said, I was focused on 93,000, which we got. And I still say that 77 target is possible. And then just to, kind of reiterate it, because we used to talk Bitcoin for 30 minutes every session. We haven't. But if you are a believer in the Bitcoin cycle, you have to know that we're in the off year. 2026 is that bear year, a lot like we were here in 2022. Let me show you. Hold on. I'll bring that back in a second. I'll show you those charts. But all in all, you are on a long-term uptrend. It's a question of, are we going to do the full bearish cycle reset? And that bearish cycle reset is a 786. Where'd it go? Hold on. Here it is, from December 14th. Okay, here's a tweet from December 14th. Right back, all the prior 786 retraces. So there's 2011. Yes, it went further, but 786 on the scale. Minimum from low to high. That's 2011. 2015. Big move up, 786 retrace, and then go. Next one. Oh, come on. Let's get that again. All right, next one, 2019, another 786, low to high, retrace there. Then 2023, 786. So what's next? Obviously, 2027. So is this going to be the retrace year? And if it is, are we going to follow the same 786 bear retracement cycle, low to high, that we did the prior 4 cycles? That's kind of the harmonic reality of the cycle itself. First, I'm going to look at 77K. All right, and we'll take it from there. I don't want to say blindly, yeah, that's going to happen. We're going all the way to 786, but those are the kind of possibilities, and that's how we line up, potential scenarios. But take it in chunks right now. So, and I don't think it's been that, there really has not been eventful. Think about, we even start the new year and we don't do anything. We're pretty much where we've been for the last 6 or 8 weeks. So, I think it's still lower. And the other ones, I've mentioned them before. The only one that's done things that we've actually talked about, Monero. And, Monero, like Zcash, now having its day, 670. And so this is what, Monero is doing what all of these, or at least a lot of the big ones, should have done. We'd have already should have done it. There you go. Look, Monero, how many crypto are like that on the monthly, weekly? Privacy coins. Okay, maybe they're working here. But, Monero, it took 3 years sideways. And now you're going, what I think will be This is great. Monero probably does a 1618, and that gets you somewhere in the ballpark of like 750, 770. It's a lot like Zcash. These are a couple that have worked, but once Zcash got to its prior 1618, 1902 zone, what happened? It didn't get through. And that's the primary framework at hand. There's 1618 on Zcash. Zcash was like 600, 590. And then the 1902, that's the additional level, that was 700. Couldn't get through that and rolled all the way back down. I mean, Zcash may give another possibility, but you need two more green weeks. And I said all the way back here that this was done. And I wouldn't want to chase it. There's nothing other than this just being like another pile of money. And with crypto in general, there aren't very many crypto. Maybe Bitcoin is one of the few remaining that aren't going to go all the way up, or at least yet, and expect that to do a full reset. Why not? Why not? I mean, that's been the net result of 99% of crypto. But privacy coins, okay. What about things like Compound? Compound, or what was the other one? Numeare. Did this have anything? Compound? You guys have any privacy coins you think are interesting? Let me know. But that doesn't really look like a trend I want to be in. And in overall, as I've been saying, in terms of anything I'm putting money into, I want stuff that's doing this. Dink, dink, okay, and then keep on going. Where it goes up, great, gets on my radar, pulls back, I'm looking here. Goes up, gets on my radar, pulls back, hit it again. The other one was, I guess, Numeare. Do I have that? We're on there. Maybe. Again, not a trending situation. The difference between this and Zcash or Monero is they had steady bases. I mean, Monero had a whole bunch of history looking left preceding this massive run. That was steady higher highs, higher lows. I don't know. You guys let me know. Yeah. Silver strong. What's up, Echo? Yeah. Silver, SLV. We didn't even look at that. That hit target. SLV hit the target at 84. And those have been working. Most of this other stuff, no. What's up, William? Cubic, my man. Yeah, I'll look at Cubic for you because I know, I still have a few hangers on like that. I'm not proud of it, but I do, and I don't have anything here for you. Here you are, weekly, all-time new lows, just bouncing off of it. I don't have much. I don't know anything about it, but technically, pattern-wise, to even suggest that there's a possibility of doing anything more than like maybe a straight up and straight down, that's been the problem, especially second half of last year with a lot of these that just went to total shit. Coty. All right, I'll entertain a few of these, not a lot, but I mean I know what this one looks like, and I'm going to say the same thing. What's the trend from the last couple of years? So are we going to expect that there's going to be any significant continuing longs if the last year or two is just straight down arrow? Not a chance. That's why I've been really kind of adamant about demanding trending assets. And I've said this before, Solana, I'm, not a trending asset. We never got out of never broke out into price discovery. And now, if anything, Solana's got, a couple of reasons why. Are we going to hold here? I'm still looking for 105, but are we going to hold this? To me, this was a big recovery play. Well done. Went 886 to 886, and I think it's done. I just technically, I think it's done, and a whole lot has to happen before I would even think that that's going to go on a new bull run rip. And you know the others. I mean, again, Cardano should be arrested, in my opinion. Like, if it wasn't going to become something in the last year, it wasn't going to, it's probably like the most sophisticated project out there that has made very little progress adoption-wise. What do you want? You want this, or do you want semiconductors that are going to be put into the next billion robots that are going to be built in the next 10 years? Don't disagree that these things had a lot of chance, hope with Trump getting to office and crypto adoption and all of this, but what was the net result? It was a straight up, straight down. And this thing is still north of a 10 billion valuation. This thing shouldn't even be $1 billion. It should not even be. It should be 1/10 of the price that it's at. I mean, I think this should be like 3 or 4 cents, quite frankly. Sorry, Charles, but that's the truth. These trends are not going to work, guys. If you want to get ahead in the next 2 to 3 years, get on the right track. And even with, like I've said, Coinbase and Coinbase and MicroStrategy here is a type 2. We have a dot finally on the weekly for Coinbase. Can you hold it? Because I'm watching Coinbase. You break under these lows and 223. I think it already failed. But I'm still thinking Coinbase goes to 150. It's just taking its time to get there. And I've been saying that for a while. Now we have the Gartley on the daily. That is the one thing I'm watching. And we could say this is probably 3 or 4 more days. Like, if this can't get out of the zone and at least do a type 1 reaction in the next 3 to 5 days, this is a dud. It's a dud across the board. That's just how it is. The other ones, your miners, there's a few that maybe might work because they're no longer miners. They're data centers. They took their cheap energy contracts and flipped it for data centers, and IREN is one of them. A weekly right there, weekly HSI around $40. I'm not doing anything yet, but it kind of looks like Bloom Energy or Rocket Lab before they recovered. But I want steady trending winners, guys. There's the 4-hour chart on IREN, probably a little overbought at the moment. Couple more. Caspa. Sure, I'll entertain them just because I've ignored it for so long. Here's Caspa at 4 cents. Jesus Christ, you got to be kidding me. 4 cents. Yeah, I don't know. I just can't. Unless you got something that I don't know about that I could take to the bank. Why? Why would this be better than Nvidia or Broadcom or Tesla over the next 3 to 5 years? It's just because even on a percentage basis, even if this thing was to turn around and double or triple, it's probably going to come right back down. I think crypto got exposed in the last 3 months of the year for its inability to sustain any gains. Very little gains. And I'll go to XRP here, which is going to be kind of the biggest one. XRP at 210. What are you doing? What is XRP going to hold this 184 level kind of ish with that crazy breakdown? Because under this level, we don't hold 184. Then you're chipping lower to like the hop level at 132. I do want to note that we generated, we had a little bump
December low to January, 180 to 230, and then smack it right back down, which is very common. But we generated some overbought readings again. And this is the fourth one since the high. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So that's continuation. Getting squeezed down here. And we're going to find out. We're going to find out really soon. If these don't hold, the risk is on the downside if they don't hold, clearly. And if they don't hold here, the longer term argument that all these guys have been talking about would have to be, you'd have to just say, okay, that's it. I mean, you don't, whatever they think is going to happen. Well, the chart is suggesting otherwise. There's your all-time history. So my only question at this point, and this is Solana, this is XRP or whatever, is it just this? Is it like a 50%? And we hold the 50% for XRP, it's like 195? Or is this halfway down to doing yet another 886 reset? For me, I've had my answer since last year, second half of last year. Like, it didn't work. It didn't go price discovery. And I mentioned that, especially after making that shift. We couldn't break to all-time new highs and do dynamic things. And so that's the limit of what you're looking at. Damn shame. This thing had real potential, but then, like Bitcoin, flamed out. Took about 2 months to kind of show that it was a dud. But after that, and the rollover, really the breakdown from that October move was totally destroyed the structure. I guess, yeah, the degen stocks, I don't even think you have to be that degenerate to get the gains and get the moves. And I know a lot of people say, all right, well, why go something like Amazon or Google when if I play a lower price stock or I could get a double or triple? Because the moves are going to be cleaner and your risk level is going to be a fraction of what a crypto market or even like a day stock low floater would be. Yeah. What's up, Greg? I agree. Like the whole thing he's saying XRP, is it utility or futility? And a friend of mine, a husband of a friend of my wife's, I told you guys this story a couple months ago. He's been working for Swift for like the last 15 years. And he works directly on kind of the token project and what they're doing in terms of blockchain. Not necessarily call it crypto, but if you don't think Swift, who's owned by all the major banks in the world, they're just going to hand over their money transfer business to XRP, you're delusional. They're already coming up with their own blockchain system. They don't need XRP. And so the banks aren't going to give away their own business. He told me by 2027, that's the date. Swift rolls it out, and it's going to be like a no-brainer. And they do global GDP. They transfer global GDP, a year's GDP, in 2 days. It's remarkable. So this whole XRP talk, yeah, it's been fun. Yeah, I caught a nice move last year or so ago, 15 months ago, from there to there. But that was it. No more. Let's go with winners. Fat finger long Nvidia at 184.60. I don't care. I still say that's probably going to end up doing better than most of any other crypto that you would consider. Most of them just complete rug pull. What was it? It was it NYC? What was the new one? The new rug pull? I can't even get it. Eric Adams, former mayor, did it NYC and it rug pulled. And somehow it got to 500 million. And that's the other thing that people don't realize. Like big celebrities can do these massive meme coins and they go to 100 million, it doesn't matter. They're still getting out with 10 million at worst. And it won't come out for at least a couple more years. It'd be like 2 or 3 more years, and then they're going to start doing investigations on all this. Chart wise, no thanks. So many better plays. But I agree with that. I don't know. Yeah. Let's get to a couple more, and we're going to wrap it up. Because you guys had so many stocks, and as you should. Hut. Wow, look at that. 60. I know we looked at that a long time ago. I got turned off by Riot and Mara. I will admit some of these worked. IREN, Hut, some of those worked. But Mara, Clean Spark, they did their double and then they went right back down. Look at Mara. Ridiculous. You know, Mara's down there at a shark at type 2, but is this really going to blow off and do some kind of massive price discovery move from here? I doubt it. Riot was the other one. Clean Spark. I go all day long on these. They didn't do anything. I want things that have already proven themselves. And this has got nice patterns. 13 was the last one. I'm just not, other than trading them, and maybe that's a better way to qualify it. Like, hey, if I'm going to hit this pattern, okay, and go from T to T1, something like that, 13.95 to 17, go for it. But that's about the max. You trade it within the framework, great. But sitting on it like a lottery ticket thinking, all right, this is the start of some massive trend continuation that's going to go all year is just not going to happen. Couple more. Your Rocket Lab is, Rocket Lab is another one of these where, hey, absolutely crazy, but something is going on there. You got some patterns, but look, it exploded. Rocket Lab was like 10 to 60, 70. And then back in November, we were sitting at a 50% retrace with the bat at $40. It doubled. That's the kind of thing you want. Real movers, they're going to look like this. And again, context of patterns, that's important. Clearly uptrending, clear uptrending. Pops up, retraces, bat pattern on the uptrend, continue. It's happened a few times. Rocket Lab, ASTS. Yeah, down there, now 93. Something, I think HIMS, even though that's not in the same sector, it's a similar chart. The other one was Global Star, I think. Is shout out to my buddy Richmond. Where are we at with? No, it's GSAT. GSAT. We above 70? Not yet. Because we had a pattern up here. I'm looking. This is Global Star. It's kind of another play like this. This was on a reverse split. Years ago, I tried to bottom pick this thing. Yeah, your crab pattern right now, but let it come back in. But this is one where it's in that sector, and if we can break out of this resistance, Global Star, it could really explode. I'm watching. I've seen enough of the ASTS and the Rocket Lab. There was one other one. Oh, Archer. The drone player. Back at 850, but Archer's yet another one, explosion from last year. But now, look, weekly is oversold. You want a low floater? Look at Archer now, $8 to $9. Where are we? I'd love that type 2 at 548. Get it on the radar. I mean, Archer and Joby Aviation was the other two. Look at Joby. Joby. There you go. High level bat pattern, bullish continuation. There's some bullish check back action right now. 1350 is your floor, 1340. That's the kind of thing I would favor, guys. Okay. Blast up, retrace, nice bullish bat pattern. Can we go again? I am long this, by the way, but I'm holding it for a while. I'm still long. Should I add to it? Maybe. But it's like that. And there's going to be more of those. And that's really what we're going to do with these sessions. Quickly, guys, let's go to NQ. We got anything going on here? Did we got... Oh, another 5 minute. All right, perfect. Thought so. I saw this on the other screen. RTH. Another dot setting up. It's actually the second dot. We've had two, but I'd look for this. I'm going to go over. This is a shout out to my guys in the Discord. 8:30, guys. Looking 8:30, 8:20. If we're going to get some kind of inflection low where we recover into the day, 8:30 to 8:20 area. This is what we'll talk about tomorrow, though. Hey, didn't even give away. Who wants a 30-day package? Please, if you have not won, put in HPC 30. I'll give you a 30-day package, and you can come to tomorrow's session. Everyone else, send your TradingView username to hpc@sr-analyst.com. Get the software and then join us tomorrow. But you have to send me a note on the Discord right there, and I'll send you the link. Come on, man, Greg. I appreciate you trying to create some noise. I think I've exhausted the giveaway. But hey, Zeta 5500, you win, all right? We did Intel, Nick, earlier. Hooji Whammer. Wolf? TerraWolf? What's that doing? 14? Yeah. Where's that on the daily chart, though? Here you go. Oh, man, look at that. But where were you 2 weeks ago? Look at that. Look at that, guys. TerraWolf with a perfect type 2. That's harmonic action. I like that. Thank you. TerraWolf. We're a little late on it, but perfect example. High level type 2 bat and consolidation zone. This should get going higher. What's the weekly look like? Weekly oversold dot. Thank you. Nice. Hooji Whammer, courtesy of him. And look at that. Yeah. Oh, man. What an interesting harmonic specimen. It's actually a crazy type 2 on the weekly. What about the monthly? Huh. Okay, guys. Tomorrow we're going to talk framework. We're going to do a lot of confirmation, but I will start out with just a review, because if you understand that no matter what the pattern time frame, this is what we expect. Type 1 reaction, okay? Type 2, come back with confirmation for the reversal to target 2. Even though this went all the way there, it's still the same assumption. So this one, you're 14, you get to 20 minimum. We'll do more of that tomorrow and Thursday. Yeah, John, let's do that. Let's do the robotic RR on Thursday. Come on in on Wednesday, guys. Hit me up on the Discord. Okay, you have any questions? And get with the software. All right, everyone else, have a great Tuesday. Catch you back either tomorrow, 10 a.m. If you want that link, hit me on Discord, or come on back Thursday, and we'll do more fun NASDAQ. Awesome. All right, guys. Have a great one. As always, go get them, and I'll catch you in the next 24, 48 hours.